This boy demanded belly scratches by kicking at his human. People often laugh this kind of behavior off and just give in to the horse's demand, or they're being annoyed and trying to use pressure and control to get the horse to stop. But pressure and control would cause the horse to argue or become fearful. And treats, well, they're just a manipulation of the horse's behavior and do not create connection with us, the human. The goal of my relationship reset curriculum is that horse and human feel safe, confident, and empowered together. In this video, I will lead you through the beginning steps of the relationship reset curriculum and how I help Brody to no longer feel the need to be disrespectful to humans, while he will also feel seen, heard, and understood. Again, with the goal that horse and human can feel safe, confident, and empowered together. Now, this is important for the first 5 minutes of context to understand what you're about to see and why I'm doing what I'm doing. I'll first walk you through the key principles behind my relationship reset curriculum. Then let's meet Brody. For the next following 35 minutes, you'll watch me interact with a horse I've never met before, uninterrupted and in real time. No highlights, no shortcuts, just the process. What we know about Brody is that he seems to move between insecurity and bossiness, including kicking at his human when asking for a belly scratch. His herdmate Checker or Checks frequently moves him around, and Brody sometimes uses Checker as a shield between himself and humans. Both horses were involved in a trailer accident and both still have some resulting physical issues. Brody's previous training with the previous owner included being asked to move in specific restricted posture patterns in the round pen. We have observed that he appears to resent these more restricted and constricted interactions. So let's have a look what Brody is actually telling us after the theory section. I'm not against butt scratches, first and foremost, right? It's really important because scratching and grooming for horses is a bonding exercise. And sadly, most humans groom their horse to get the horse clean. The horse is in cross ties. The horse doesn't have a choice what brush is being used, what pressure is being used, where they're being groomed, where there may be spots where they don't feel okay to be touched yet. And a lot of horse training is done without consent to create a discussion around personal space and help you understand that personal space is not only a safety issue, but also a basis for everything that we do with our horse, how our horse sees us, the human. But also that we don't have to be dominant and pushy and bossy to help our horse respect and honor our personal space. So when you go here into my book, right, that's the Relationship Reset Curriculum, there are 4 action steps. And the 4 action steps comprise of, do we feel safe? And are we in a learning frame of mind? And that's for horse and human, right? We need to be in a learning frame of mind in order to learn something new, to spend time with our horse. And our horse needs to be in that learning frame of mind too. And most horses are never truly mentally, emotionally, and physically balanced because we humans create stress in their life. We're looking at, am I the guardian in my herd of 2? Are you truly responsible for the safety and the confidence and empowerment of you and your horse? We are creating in the third step, rhythm, relaxation, and interconnection with everyday tasks. Most programs tell you to halter your horse, to get a stick and a string and a lead rope and go in the round pen, go in the arena and do groundwork. I do not believe in groundwork. Horses don't know what groundwork is. They do not establish their herd hierarchy with groundwork. Now, here's the caveat: horses establish their position in the herd through space conversations. And that's why in natural horsemanship, this tendency to move the horse's feet was really established, right? The desire: move your horse's feet, back your horse up, move the front end, move the hind end, move your horse sideways, move your horse in a circle. And all of that is designed to create the horse as an individual. You do this, you do that. There is no community, there is no connection in that. This is us telling the horse what to do. I come from a place of we, and we establish that during the everyday tasks, as well as that our horse honors our personal space, that our horse can be relaxed with us, that our horse is feeling safe, so they are willing and happy to listen to us. That happens with approach, feeding, haltering, leading, picking feet, grooming, and it is all consent based. We don't need a halter for that. We don't need a lead rope for that. We can do that at liberty. Halter, lead rope, optional. What I usually use is a stick and string, not because I want to make things happen, but because I want to help my horse gain clarity. Because I have two legs and I have a tall body, and horses have long bodies. So I'm merely extending my body. That's all I'm doing. My stick is an extension of my arm. And what we're doing today is we're going through these steps in what I call the pre-ride safety check, because my student Marilyn would like to know whether Brody over there is rideable. And we're not getting on our horse with the idea of, well, let's see how it's going to go. We want to have a clear understanding of what our horse is currently capable of and what not yet. And anything that I see that my horse is not capable of yet, I fix that on the ground with the previous 3 steps. So let's get started with the pre-ride safety check. Brody, the one that we would like to see how far along he is, whether we can ride or not, is actually standing behind Checker. So we have a relationship where Checker is the boss, where Checker checks things out. Perfect name. And Brody kind of stays in the background and lets Checker do his thing, and then he shows up, right? So and he's not disinterested, right? Because he's looking at me and he's just kind of gently checking things out, what's happening. And when I look at his ears, they're a little bit backwards, but to me, that doesn't look mean, despite that we have a fly mask on and we can't see his eyes. But when you're looking at, he has a little bit of emotional breathing, right? The nostrils are opening up a little bit. And the way he's looking at me and he's holding his ears, if anything, I would say he's a little bit on the unconfident side. So we have 2 horses on the opposite end of the spectrum. So I'm just gonna keep waiting. This is the first time that I personally meet Brody. Brody and his owner have been part of the mentorship program, where we do weekly group meetings and video coaching, and where I guide my students through the relationship reset on a daily basis. But I have never met him before in person. So we're just kind of checking things out. So there was a little bit of a lick and chew, and he's still kind of checking things out, what's going on, right? His nostrils are opening up a little bit. He's taking in smell. And a lot of times when our horse's nostrils are opening up like that, then their heart rate and their breathing actually changed, and it's a little bit elevated. And whenever our breathing changes for ourselves, when our heart rate changes, we know that there is a little bit of an uncertainty, there's a little bit of an anxiety. So I'm just gonna move into this area. And because I don't want Checker to necessarily be my first conversation in that space. I'm just going to walk forward in a way that I'm walking along the fence, so I don't have a conversation with Cheka about the personal space. And then I'm just gonna see what Brody is doing when I approach. I do have my stick and string as a communication tool. In general, I let the end of my stick be on the ground and I'll just carry it along. As soon as you're holding your stick like this, you're putting effort into holding your stick, and that horse can actually feel the energy. So we don't want to carry any energy that doesn't say anything other than, I'm ready to go. So the stick is down here and my arm is down here, just like where it would be if I would just normally walk. So I'm going to walk in, and every step of the way, I'm going to check on his energy, on his intent, on his body language, and whether he gives me the permission to enter his personal space. So right there, he gave me to eyes and to ears for a moment. So I stopped to acknowledge that. Right here, Checkers wanted to annoy our camera woman, and I'm like, personal space, not available. And the nice thing is, he's like, oh, okay, I get it. I can't walk over there. I just had the stick up. I did not touch him. I just said boundary, right? And then the interesting thing is, he inhales, exhales, goes back to eating, minds his own business. Personal. His personal space, my personal space. Okay, so I don't like straight approach a horse because in general horses don't approach each other like that unless they're driving each other away. So I'm gonna come from the side and I'm just gonna stand here at a nice distance. Exhale and give Brody the opportunity to share space with me, right? So what's sharing space and what's occupying space? Now, he has a human, right, that has allowed him so far to just come in her personal space, right? So we don't want him to feel wrong for something that he was able to do with somebody else, and it's not a safety issue. But I'm going to have a conversation about that because what he's doing right now, he's leaning on that right shoulder, on the right shoulder that is next to me. And if you know Frédéric Pignon, the amazing French horseman who has created Cavalier and Equi in Europe, he says the distance between you and your horse's shoulder is the amount of respect that your horse currently has for you. So our horse can like us and be fond of us and not worry with us, that we're creating a worrisome life for them, but there might be a lack of respect. Now, I scratched him, and right there, he's asking for, oh, this was so nice. Can you scratch me again? And that was a pretty soft inquiry. So, yeah, I can do that because this is a nice way for me to do something nice for Brody without any expectation. And here is my opportunity to, from the very beginning, right, from the approach, I set a, a set of rules how we interact with each other, right? If we don't have rules, we have anarchy. Now, he's kind of smelling on me, right? And now he's using his lips. Would he be allowed to use his lips on another horse, right? Maybe yes, maybe no. So I just very gently said, I would like you to not use your lips on me, right? And right here, he's just kind of checking out what's available of my personal space down here, up here, you know. Um, Checker checked out whether the space was available above me. No, it's a bubble around me, right? So the next thing I'm gonna do is, how willing is Brody to make a step further away, right? So I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna do the same thing like with Checker. I'm gonna ask very softly. Now, head went up, tension in the pole area, tight lip, tight nose. I have a feeling that that has more to do with Checker coming into our personal space and Checker having a history with Brody with moving him around. Now, Checker can do that when I'm not around. He cannot do that when I'm around. And that is the first kind of rule that I set in a herd, that no arguing, no fighting, no moving each other around when I'm here. When I'm here, things are calm, things are peaceful, and I literally protect Brody, and I set a boundary with Checker. Checker needs boundaries because of who he is and also what he has learned from humans. And Brody needs calmness and peace and relaxation and making sure that the human's taking care of him. Now, notice what Checker is doing. He's just very nonchalantly saying, "Oh, I'm just coming along and I'm eating," right? I'm not, I don't want anything from you. I'm just eating. And his eating actually brought him into my personal space. So I'm going to have a quick conversation with him that no, he cannot be in my personal space. And have you noticed that now, me just putting my attention on it, having that intent, having that energy was enough for him to make space for me. Now, he moved Brody, and he never really touched Brody. He just looked at Brody and said, "This is my space, this is my human." And Brody said, "Never mind, I'm going. I don't like to have this conversation." If I would have not talked to the camera, I would have done something about it, but I figured it was important to talk about what Checker is doing. So I'm just going to move with them. And what I personally like to do in a situation like that is to position myself actually behind the horses. And most humans will not stand behind a horse because there is this rule: never walk, stand behind a horse. Have you ever heard that somebody said to you, never approach a dog from up front because they bite, right? Yes, we know that dogs bite, but we also know that some dogs bite and others doesn't, and that dogs bite when they feel threatened. So when I see a dog that feels threatened, no, I will not approach the dog, right? If I see a horse that feels threatened, that doesn't pay attention, that is tense and tight, no, I will not stand behind the horse. I will not approach the horse from behind unless I have a safe distance. So I'm going to do the same thing because I don't want to have conversations with Checker. I'm just going to move over here to the side, and I'm just going to continue my conversation with Brody, now paying attention that Checkers is not gonna change the conversation. Dominant horses want to change the conversations to what they would like. They do that with us, and they do that with other horses when we're around, right? And right there was a boundary, and he didn't notice. So I gave him a little tap on the nose, right? Again, this is like, did you notice? This is not like whack, go away, but it's like, did you notice that I set this boundary? No, this is not available for you. Hi, Brody. I can describe my personal space with my stick if necessary. So let's see whether Brody is willing to make room for me when I approach him, right? So we can ask our horse to make room for us with a steady touch. we can ask our horse to make room for us by just walking towards them, right? So I'm gonna test things because this is the pre-ride safety check. I would like to be able to step here and see how he just came in my personal space uninvited, right? I would like to be a few feet away from my horse, change my focus from we're standing to now we're moving. And as I'm changing my focus and my intent and my energy and my body language changes, I would like for my horse to walk with me. So not necessarily move away from me, but move with me. And sometimes that means that my horse is making space for me. Hi. So it's nice that he keeps checking in with me, right? He walks away, he comes back, he's like, well, this is something that usually doesn't happen in my life, right? So what's up with that? Now, notice the distance. This is the distance that I would like. He stands with me. He doesn't stand on top of me. He doesn't lean into my personal space. He has his weight pretty evenly spread out on the 4 feet. That's what I would like. I do see the emotional breathing. I do see the change in breathing and therefore in the heart rate. So here, this is a quick ask. Can you actually bring that foot back to where it was standing? And again, this is not consistent. I'm going to increase the pressure so my horse finally moves. This is me about, are you noticing my touch? Are you noticing my intent and my energy, which is saying, can you please move your foot? And so when I'm looking from a pre-ride safety check, right, there is right now either a lack of understanding, right? Because how I'm communicating is different and new, or it's an unwillingness to respond. Either way is fine, right? I don't get mad at a horse when they're unwilling, like people say, oh, you have to show them who's boss. He's trying to get away with stuff. He's making you move. And there is a truth in that. However, what is the root cause? The root cause is that the horse doesn't feel safe with me and therefore is not following me and my suggestions. Because no dominant horse in the herd, and I'm anthropomorphizing right now, will say to the lead mare, right? Oh, I I don't feel like coming with you today. I'm going to stay here. You guys go ahead. It doesn't happen. Whether the horse is confident, unconfident, introverted, extroverted, all horses follow the lead mare, right? There is no bored horse, there is no lazy horse. Those are all attributes that we're giving our horses from a human perspective without actually understanding what the behavior of the horse truly means and what the root cause is. No, you cannot put your head over my head. If you have ever had a horse on purpose or accidentally hit you with a head, you know it's not pleasant. So that's just something that we don't do. It's my personal space. Imagine if your friend would stand there and constantly wave their arm over your head. Would you like that? Good. That was nice. So can I go on the other side? And we're just going to hang out, right? Because what I'm noticing is his head is a little bit up. We have tension in the poll area. Our lower neck muscle is engaged. And we have a little bit of emotional breathing. And I'm going to just take the fly mask off here for a while so we can understand what his facial expression truly looks like. I bet we have reduced blinking and the ears are a little bit back. This is not a mean look. This is, I don't know you. I'm not sure about you. What is this all about? Right? So, right now, I cannot continue to ask anything of him because I'm going to build my conversation of him saying, hey, I don't know you. I don't feel safe with you. What is this all about? You're different. And I'm like, let me just explain to you that this actually is nice. Okay. I'm, I'm, I'm actually creating comfort and confidence and calmness and peacefulness. And there was a little curiosity, how he smelled the stick. And we have a little bit of a different facial expression now. And we have some relaxation in the neck, but this lower neck muscle is not completely relaxed. You should be able to flop this neck muscle back, and it should be floppy, right? Because if you flop that neck muscle and you feel a hesitation, there is tension. We want to have zero tension. Somebody got upset with me in the post when I said the only conclusion that I have to the responses that I see from you is that you've never truly seen a horse that was not in self-preservation and self-protection. And that person thought I was incredibly rude and mean. And from my perspective, it's a fact, right? Because when our horse truly is relaxed, and he is starting to relax, right? But he is not 100% relaxed, then we're seeing completely different behavior. So when I have a horse that has a tendency to do this, right? Put the head up in the air, have tension here in the poll area, have wrinkles around the nose and mouth area, have an elongated nostril, and right now we had another level of relaxation happening. Head came down, and now this lower neck muscle is completely relaxed because otherwise he could not put his head all the way down, right? And I'm just walking with him because he would like to go over and now inquire about our camera woman, and that's not something that we want him to do. Now, notice that he's not messing with his lips with me anymore, but now he is checking out the stick. I want him to check out things and be curious. If I see him starting to nibble, to grab, to maybe even, hold on to it, try to pull it out of my hands, all of this means that I have a horse that has a level of anxiety, and that buzzing in his body, the anxiety, he's trying to get rid of by engaging his nose and mouth area. And the nose and mouth area, the nerves that end in that area, they are connected to the limbic system. And the limbic system is the system in the brain that is responsible for, good boy, for processing emotions. So whenever we have something mouthiness going on, you have a horse that is facing anxiety, living with anxiety, and they're trying to find a coping mechanism because we humans are not helping them to get rid of the tension. And I call that tension residual tension, that is human created, and just checking in on Mr. Checkers there, and nature. The horse's nervous system doesn't know what to do with it because horses in nature don't have this tension, right? That is human created from pressure, control, and even treat-based training techniques, which are all task orientated, and which automatically, when we become task orientated, when we want to get things done, when I started out with Pirelli, our group had a t-shirt that said, get her done. And that kind of mentality causes the horse to become anxious, right? We work on our horse's timeline. I might not get the entire pre-ride safety check done today. We'll see. We have a few hours, and we're just gonna go at Brody's pace. And when I feel at any given time that he needs to have just time to stand here and rest, we're going to do that. So right here, we see a little bit of a internal licking, right? He's moving his lips, but his tongue isn't coming out, and the wrinkles around the nose area and the emotional breathing is prevailing. I already know that right now this horse is not rideable because of what I have seen so far. And I'm going to use the word yet, right? 3 letters, Y-E-T, yet. That means that we're opening the opportunity for change, for transformation, and that will absolutely become possible. So, what we're seeing now is that his head is lower with his withers. The lower the horse's head is, the less the horse sees. The more comfortable they are, the less they feel the need to see of an extended distance. The less confident they are, the more their head is up in the air because they want to see everything that's going on around them. Now, the next thing that we need to know is when there are wrinkles in the nose and mouth area, most likely he's either holding on to his tongue or he's even pushing the tongue against the roof of the mouth. And that automatically blocks the hyoid apparatus, which is under the tongue. The hyoid apparatus are little bones that are under the tongue, and they're attached to 16 muscles. Those muscles go in the TMJ, they go in the pole, they go in the neck, they go in the front end. So when you have tension in this area here, then we know that we have tension in the entire horse. Lately, I've seen courses where people say, oh, I can help you help your horse create relaxation with the bit. Well, yeah, of course, because the bit is in the mouth, on the tongue, and you can do things with the bit in the mouth, with the tongue. But why do you need to use the bit? What is the bit for you? Is it control? Is it communication? Is it refined communication? Do you need a bit? I don't think we need bits. So, next thing. I would never put my fingers here in this sensitive area where all the nerves are right under the skin and push. If that has ever anybody has done that to you, where they grab you by the neck and they push or they try to restrain you, you know how uncomfortable that is. So we don't do that. We also don't put a halter on our horse and pull the head down. If you ever had somebody, right, push you down and hold you down to control you, you know how miserable that feels. We don't do that to our horse. Humans shouldn't do it to each other. So instead, what I do, I use my fingers here and I bring his head just a little bit over. And that was maybe half an inch. Happy with that. And then I use the palm of my hand and I just push the head a little bit over. And I just very gently go in this rocking motion, whatever is possible, right? I don't go beyond the first threshold. We look for mini and micro thresholds. And so I'm gonna, with this kind of movement, I can release the tension in the pole area, in the neck, and then I get a nice lick and chew, right? Wonderful. Yeah. In general, when horses kind of put their nose on you and then they push on you in various levels, that means that I have a horse that still lives in that space of I'm pushing into something. Our aids and our communication when we are riding is about follow a feel and yield to a feel, whether it's the seat, whether it's our weight, whether it's our feet, whether it's the reins. Everything is based on that. If we have a horse that still pushes and prods on the ground into pressure, even just slightly, then from my perspective, the horse isn't rideable yet. Hi. Hi, Brody. So what I wanted to see was whether he could actually turn around and look at me. In general, when they have their head over a fence or a gate like that, then they have to have tension, right? Because the head is up in the air and there's just natural tension in the neck. So let's see whether he can, there you go, good, much better. So everything that the horse does has a meaning, and we're making a decision based on that, right? So I'm gonna go into the paddock. And ideally, I would like for him to come over and check me out, right? And he might not. Either way. It's okay. I think once we're moving, they're probably okay. So we had some emotional breathing this morning and some tension. And we stopped with a really nice release. And we're already starting with a release. There you go. Good boy. So I haven't asked him to do anything, right? This is all free will, free choice. I just use my energy and I'm really intentional about what I'm doing, right? So I waited to see whether he could put his head over back, into the arena so he doesn't have the tension looking over the panel. He had for a moment there, he was pawing, that shows a little bit of an anxiety. And it might just be that he was in the arena and Chex was out and I closed the gate, right? That might have already been enough that we had a little bit of tension because suddenly he felt locked in, separated from his body. Hi. Good. Hello. So this morning we talked about polite approach, honoring my personal space, not leaning into my personal space. He's not like Chex. Chex is demanding space, occupying space, trying to move humans around. He just leans a little bit in the human's personal space. And we want to have a very clear idea about our personal space. And so it was very nice how he came and approached and slowed down and asked whether he could come in, right? And so far, he hasn't nibbled on me. He's just smelling. And right now, I'm smelling like peanut butter. Yes. So what we've noticed this morning is that once in a while, he takes his nose and he pushes particularly into my hand. And so that pushing into something or against something, that's very horse normal because that's what horses do, right? They either lean into pressure, they push into pressure, they pull against pressure, and we have to teach them to actually yield and follow a feel. And so the reason why I'm using the word feel is because I want to exemplify that I never use more than 100 gram or 3 ounces. And ideally I use less because we have a fly landing on the horse and the fly weighs 14 milligrams. So when we are using 100 gram, then that's basically 8,864 times more than what the fly weighs. And we all know that horses can feel flies, they can shake their skin to get the fly off. The other thing that we did this morning was how soft can I be to ask for a backup, right? Because if I want to have softness and lightness in my horse's response, then I have to offer that. There was somebody on Facebook that said, well, you know, phase one, two, three, four is designed to create phase one. Well, I can have phase one from the very beginning. I don't need to um, use escalating phases and pressure. It's not about that. It's the horse can feel it. The question is, can the horse understand it? And is the horse willing to follow through? Right. And so, right here, it took him a while to follow through, but we're in a teaching phase right now. I'm like, how soft can I be for him to realize that I would like for him to make another step backwards? And it's kind of like me introducing soft communication and saying, okay, buddy, this is the first time we're hanging out. This is how I communicate, right? There you go. Very good. And so now I'm going to walk away and I'm giving him options, right? He can follow, he cannot follow. That's all good. And in general, I like to start from behind because very few people do something behind the horse unless they're driving from behind, and then they usually have either a halter or a bit in the horse's mouth and they're using the reins to control the horse. I want him to have all the options that he can have, and I want him to make the right decisions. So right decisions in my mind is being respectful of my personal space, not pushing on me, moving out of my space if I'm asking. And just the fact that he's coming over and checking in with me, right? He made that decision to come to me. I didn't, you know, wiggle my stick or disengage the hind end or hide the hiney by with looking over. None of that. I just said, okay, I'm going to walk away. And what are you going to do about that when I'm standing somewhere else? Hi. Very nice, right? So, in general, what we've noticed is he likes people, right? He likes people, and sometimes he's a little bit wary. He didn't know me. I mean, I've met him on video, but not in person. So he was like, who are you? Why are you here? What are you doing? Right? And that is all fine. That is all justified. And right here, what I thought was, can you put that foot back? And I just lifted my hand a little bit up, and he's like, yes, I can. And I didn't even have to like touch him on the chest. Now he has that tendency, right? When you pet him or when you put your hand on his head, that he does this kind of pushy thing. So that's something that I want to work on yet. I want to work on him following a feel.